it's really important that you come with the right attitude, because it's if you don't, you're going to then, it's going to be a waste of time you and I getting together, because I'm going to call a spade, and if you don't like the bad news that I'm going to give you, and I've given bad news to guys before and they hate me for it, and they don't get over it, then that's sort of not my problem. So here's the reality: we, as much as we want to, be joyful and positive and optimistic about the potential of the business, mate, if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, and quacks like a bloody duck, it's probably a frigging duck. How old are you going to be before you start to experience life like you want it? I want to tell you right now, whether you like it or not, there is a better way to do business. Hi everyone, thanks for joining the Business for Builders podcast. Welcome to you if you're in YouTube land. My name's Max. I'm the CEO here at Smith & Sons Remodeling Experts Canada. I'm your host. And look, we're pretty keen to get stuck into it again, a bit of a follow-on from last week. And look, before we do all that good stuff, like and subscribe, hit the bell. So look, I've been really inundated. I've been really humbled by the inquiry that we've had as it relates to the business coaching services that I've just began to offer, the business that I've just launched. We're working that in parallel with our franchise business. And so a lot of what we're teaching those guys in the franchise world is definitely what we're rolling out here as well. And so I'm pretty excited to be able to share some of that stuff with you. In the event, if you wanted to buy a franchise, if you're in Canada, because at the moment we're ready to go to the States at some point. Maybe next year, we'll just see what happens. But certainly, if you're in Canada, most provinces in Canada, we're good to go. But the prerequisite to that now is that we need to have coached. I need to have coached you, or one of my guys would need to have coached you for 6 months, at least 3 months, to get a really good understanding as to where you're at. And then, of course, you can get an understanding as to where we're at too, and what it's like to work with our team. So. It's pretty exciting, pretty humbling, and we're working with a few guys already, and there's going to be some good things that happen out the back of this. So I'm pretty pumped. So the last 2 weeks, 2 weeks ago, or whenever it was, I think 2 weeks ago, we're just starting to break down the different headings that we really focus on, the systems, tools, resources, plans. The types of structures that we utilize to really coach, high performance businesses. And so, I think 2 weeks ago I talked about time, and then last week I talked about team. Okay, and today I'm going to talk about money. And so we talked about silver bullets and how they are a bit of a metaphor for something magical that can help you solve a problem within your business. These are a lot more than that, but the concept is the same. It's like, okay, Max, I've got this problem. I've got this challenge. What is the silver bullet? Tell me, what have I got to do? I just want you to be aware that, coaching doesn't automatically mean that you're going to be a successful business person, because I don't know what sort of character you are. And so this is always the challenge. There is the organic part. I can give you all the systems, tools, resources, checklists, quality control, support, infrastructure. But if you are an operator that maybe doesn't have good people skills, or is a little bit fearful of doing sales, or maybe lacks some budget to go and do the appropriate marketing, like there's some restrictions and some constraints that you're putting on yourself, or that you are subject to, is going to make it a little bit difficult for you to build a business that you want. But of course, business is an infinite game, so maybe not this year, but maybe next year. So always stay positivity and optimism has to get louder. So we're going to talk about these silver bullets as it relates to money. And so there's 7 of them. I'll run through them. We're talking about USP and guarantee. So we're talking about a unique selling proposition and your guarantee. Number 2 is revenue and profit budget. Number 3 is current business plan. Number 4 is break-even plan. Number 5 is your tactical marketing plan. Number 6 is sales management system. And number 7 is your cash gap plan. All very relevant at different levels to your business, no doubt. Okay, the USP and guarantee. So USP stands for unique selling proposition. Better not lean back. You might not be able to hear me if I lean away from the mic. It's a persuasive value proposition that removes the risk and compels your ideal customer or your preferred client profile, which I've mentioned dozens of times on the podcast, to do business with you instead of your competitors, because you're different than all the rest. So, and we've talked about this on the show before, but we've got to have a way to separate ourselves through a unique difference. What is the thing that's separating you from your business competitors in your field? Super important that we get a look at some way of doing it. To give you an example, when I came to Canada, the first thing I realized is that everybody was doing cost plus contracts. So time and materials, do and charge, call it what you like. And the profit margin percentages were just absurd. And you can't build a business off the back of, a 3% net profit. It's just insane. If that, I think that's being optimistic actually. And of course, a lot of my Canadian general contractors that have gone from cost plus across to fixed price swear that they will never go back to doing cost plus. It's just, there's too much challenge in and around managing that contract. And there's definitely a challenge with creating a very healthy net profit. So, it pays to be an early adopter. So, or an early majority, that's for sure. So, we want to focus on the USP and the guarantee. For us, with that unique selling point, which is a fixed price contract, then you fall into the guarantee, which is we guarantee that the price will stay the same unless, you, the client, makes a change, whether there's something you've taken out or something you want to add back on. There'll be change orders to do that. It will be a fixed price. You will know exactly what you get before you start. And then, of course, you'll know the project duration or the completion date. So that is something that sets us apart. Then you jump on our website at smithandsons.ca and you can see a dozen video testimonials. Again, people get to hear from past customers and they say, I want to have that experience. And so there's just some insight into what you should do. So AIDA, AIDA, it's something that we use as a bit of a reference point when we're doing our marketing. So A stands for attention. I stands for interest. What am I going to do that's going to keep their or get their interest and keep their interest? And is there something there that you're going to throw down that becomes they're going to desire maybe a piece of information, an ebook, maybe there's, for want of a better term, coupon, whatever is going to excite them and give them value that they want. In other words, they desire to have that. And then, of course, you've got your call to action in the same ad. So these are the kinds of things that we'll spend some time breaking down in your business, in your area, if you were to get on board with us as a coaching client of Elite Business Advisory. Be sure to get over to elitebusinessadvisory.com and check us out. If you want to have a quick 30-minute Zoom call with me directly to chat about your business and the future of your business, no obligation. Just jump on the book a consultation and you will find a button there that you can actually get to my calendar and figure out when there's a good time for you to for us to get together and just chat a little bit more in depth about what we can do for you in the area of business coaching. All right, so current business plan. This is a credible written plan detailing a company's unique selling proposition, their strategic plan, and the revenue and profit budget. Now, this is designed to induce financial partners to invest in the business, or maybe you've got to go to the bank for some finance because you're ready to go and grow the business and you kind of need some, a high level of capital. Then a business plan is something that you'll absolutely need. And it would pay to actually have the strategic plan working in conjunction or to help you create a current business plan. Of course, when you do this, like I said, we spend 2 to 4 hours in the first month really doubling down alongside of you, not only coaching for that month, but for that month, just for a first off, we're going to get deep and unpack a strategic plan as well for you. So these are parts, you guys and gals, you're like me, we're builders, we're carpenters, we build houses, whatever, we do renos. We don't just start without a plan. And so, folks, I don't know why we go into business and don't develop a business plan. Like, I want to see what it is that I want to build before I start. And that's always tricky. As part of or not as part, but in conjunction with our coaching service, because not everyone wants this. So we can actually put together, because we've got access to business planning software, we can assist you in developing a business plan to submit to banks or investors if that's what your business requires. So that's very much a case by case. Not everybody's going to want to jump into that. There'll be a fee for that product. But it's something that we can put our finger on pretty quick and help you design. And that as well will take, a few hours to really double down and figure out the incidental information around that and your business plan. The next one here is a break-even plan. Now, you might be in a situation and, really you're in a precarious position whereby you have found yourself in a position where you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. And I've seen this one too many times in the building game. And so you might need a strategy. You say, Max, we're not done. We just need to figure out our way through this and how we're going to navigate our way out of this. And so the cash gap plan, it's an aggressive plan to stop the bleeding of cash by temporarily cutting all non-critical expenses while driving sales above break even by selling existing inventory or service capacity to cover operating costs, debt service, and personal drawings. So, I've sat with guys and they like, I'll say, look, everyone in your office has got to go. Your business is not, in the last quarter, you've not made enough sales. You've not even hit your break-even point. You are hemorrhaging cash. You have got to jettison your overhead right now. And this is what I get. Max, you don't understand. I can't let them go. It's like, why? You have to, otherwise your business dies. And in that situation, 5 months later, all of those people that were a part of that business, they were no longer in the business anyway. They'd all exited stage left because they knew the business was in trouble. And so a break-even plan. So for you at home, if you're sitting there, what I want you to do is this little equation. It's like, Max, how do I calculate my break-even? The way you do that is you take your fixed costs. So I want you to add up your what your salary is, and I hope it's at market value. I hope you don't overprice your own labor, but I certainly don't want you to underprice it either. So you've got to have an industry benchmark salary and all of the running costs, your cell phones, your running costs on your vehicles, your maintenance, your gas, your tires, everything, insurances, all those sorts of things that don't have anything or are not pertaining to the project. And what that can do is that is your fixed cost. So if you weren't doing any work, you would still have to pay for those costs. That's what I'm talking about. So you take that number and look, the average one-man band is probably maybe $10,000 a month. So you divide that by your gross profit percentage. So if you're marking up by 41, 42%, your gross profit percentage is about 30%. So if that was me, I would take my $10,000 and I would divide that by 30, hit the percent button, and that will tell you a number of about $33,333.33. And how do I know that? Because I've done those numbers a few times and used them before. But and that gives you an idea, because you go, okay, Max, so if my fixed costs, my fixed expenses are 10 grand a month, you're telling me that if I don't bill for $33,333, I'm going backwards. I'm like, seriously, immediately. You're not making any profit even if you hit 33. That's your break even. That's where you've just covered your expenses. And so it's super important. Now, the easiest way for you to make more gross profit is to increase your markup percentage, and that will give you a better gross profit percentage. And so markup and margin, gross profit margin percentage is different from your markup. That's a little video in itself. And if you shoot across to Business for Builders VIP Facebook group, private Facebook group, there's a video on there. I'm pretty sure that I talk about the difference between markup and margin. And so, that's certainly another way. I mean, if you want to try and create more cash in your bank, then you may need to not undervalue your services and start, charging the right kind of numbers. And I guess this is where you as, a building company owner perhaps, and me of someone who's seen, I've taken guys from 500,000 to 1.6 million. I've taken guys from 150 grand to 750. Like I've seen it. And so you might just need to have someone give you some clarity and work on some numbers. And some of the confidence and the influence that I carry based on my experience, it might help you get your business back on track and get your head straight. And that certainly is. And stop, selling yourself too cheap. That is the major problem. In a lot of building companies that I see, their markup percentages are just not adequate, and they're not good enough. So it's all about creating net profit and then preserving that profit, that net profit, like it's a baby. That's the kind of protection that you need to give profit in your business. Right. The next thing, what we need good lead gen, don't we? So we need a tactical marketing plan. So that's an aggressive, measurable plan to increase your leads, improve your sales conversion rates, increase your profit margin percentage, and increase your annual revenue per customer so that your profits increase exponentially. Now, like I have guys that go, well, Max, I do cost plus and I do it at 15%. And then they're doing renos and they're doing open book, or they're doing cost plus. And I say, well, look, if you're happy to learn how to do a fixed price contract, you can start marking shit up at about 41%. So, that's 2.5 times or more profit. So instantly. But the problem that I find with that, the pushback I get is they just like, Max, I can't believe that. Really? Like, I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I'm worth that. So see, the problem is not the opportunity in the marketplace. The problem is in the 6 inches between your freaking ears. And so, we really got to make sure that we're focusing on the reality of the situation, and we're not just making excuses. And that's what I see occasionally is these macho builders business that is failing, and they would rather go and spend the rest of their life pointing fingers and blaming people instead of getting to the root cause of the problem, which is their insecurities and their inability to execute. So just think about that, hey? You can tell that I'm a little bit straight down the line. Like when we get together, I'm going to, get involved as much as I can. Now, remember, I'm on the sideline. I'm not a player in your business. I'm a coach. So, I'll be standing on the sideline yelling at you, and I've got 6 kids, and they all hate me doing that, but I don't care. We're in it to win it, brothers and sisters. There's no 8th place trophies. But it's really important that you come with the right attitude, because it's if you don't, you're going to then, it's going to be a waste of time you and I getting together, because I'm going to call a spade, and if you don't like the bad news that I'm going to give you, and I've given bad news to guys before and they hate me for it, and they don't get over it, then that's sort of not my problem. So here's the reality. We, as much as we want to, be joyful and positive and optimistic about the potential of the business, mate, if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, and quacks like a bloody duck, it's probably a frigging duck. So at that point, we just got to make sure that we're being realistic, that we have a high level of self-awareness, and that we really understand and take on board some of the constructive suggestions that my old mate Max might give you. We'll see how we go. Right, so we're all about what you don't measure, you don't manage. And so we want to look at what you've done, so far. We want to look at leads and conversion rates. We want to see how many new customers that you do bring on in a quarter. Retained customers is not something that us builders, we might have occasionally a recurring customer, but really in the lifetime of your business, you may only do 3 or 4 jobs maximum over your whole career for a specific client, and there won't be many of those clients. So, always make the most of those and look after those customers. Then we're going to look at, revenue per customer. What is the overall revenue? What's our gross margins? What are our fixed costs? And of course, what are our net profit? And, we want to analyze what we've done, what you've done up to this date, use that as a benchmark, make a few changes, make 2 or 3 changes, maybe the way we do marketing and advertising and lead gen. Maybe we get a sales script together and a sales process. We document a sales process. Maybe we get we work on a training manual or operations manual similar to the one that I give, each of the franchisees, and that helps systemize the business so there's a lot less downtime in the training side of it, and it maximizes efficiency, those sorts of things. By making a few of these changes within your business, and we could increase your situation by 10% over the course of the next 12 months, then you do the math. You tell me where you're at. If we increased, your amount of leads, if we increase your gross profit, if we increase your net profit by 20%, that's a game changer. And so the thing is, it doesn't happen overnight. And so this is why you need someone running with you. You need that running mate to help you stay accountable and stay on track. And when your head goes into a dive and you crack the shits because things aren't going your way and a client just changed their mind and pulled out of the contract, all that sort of wonderful stuff does happen, then it really is helpful when you just, take that hit and you sit down in the corner, pull your mouth guard out, and we get some water in you and go, mate, it's not over. It's just a moment in time, and we can rebuild. We can keep on going, and that's really the benefit of having a coach in your corner. Look, I've got a list of lead generation, conversion rate, and revenue per customer tactics and categories that we go into there. For the sake of time, I'm not going to dive into that. Like I said before, we talked about documenting the sales process. So a sales management system. So that'll be a management system methodology, and that will also be a sales process that is documented. So it's a practical system for building a top-performing sales force by scripting their approach. 2 of my guys have got project consultants, and it's a game changer because they're also office nannies, and it certainly does help in the way that, I know what you guys are like, I know what I'm like, and we like to be out in the field making it happen. Somebody's got to be keeping, the office in order, has got to be communicating with clients, has got to be doing some procurement, some ordering, ensuring all the invoices are dispatched, making sure the bookkeeping is in some sort of organized situation, liaising with accountants for end of year, things like that. So it's all about managing. It's also being able to manage your activity inside of a CRM. So CRM stands for Customer or Client Relations Management System, and that measures performance. And it really does. If you've got salespeople using that CRM, it really does to give you the ability to tie an incentive plan to their paycheck by using a CRM. Now, just so you know too, whenever we have a CRM, and you might have what we call an ebook on your website, Ironically enough, I don't have one on my Canadian website. I've been asking one for a long time, but it's kind of above my pay grade a little bit, but you might see some change here pretty shortly. But, there's what happens is when someone goes in and they say, hey, Maxio, I want your, 6 silver bullet, ebook that's on my elitebusinessadvisory.com website, that email will come to me and I will be able to then start to send out, company newsletters, updates, things of value that are educational, that really maybe give value on a regular basis. And so that's the other reason we don't just have a CRM to manage our sales side of things. We also use it, our direct sales, we also use it to what we call farm those inquiries. So they might be just got started looking and they want to, get your ebook, so they'll give up an email and a first name. And then over, 6 months later, they're like, hey, yeah. And then we say, how did you find out about us? And you're like, well, we inquired 6 months ago. We weren't ready, but we got your ebook. We like, how you roll. And now here we are. So the fact that we were able to continue to just feed them with information meant that my building company was top of mind, front of mind, and so can yours. And that is a strategy on how to go about, keeping those people interested in your company, and also how to keep them educated and really displaying you as the authority. And that's super important. So that's something else to think about. So sales management system, really, it's all about having the right people in the right seats, behaving the right way. But as it relates to sales, and sales is a fairly unique, is a bit of a unique situation. But 3 things we focus on within the sales process or the sales management system is attitude, activity, and acumen. So you've got to have a positive, outlook on life, and you've got to be really, somebody that sees the potential rather than someone that just sees the problem. The whole half glass full, half empty thing. That how you see the glass and its fullness. That's certainly an attitude thing, and that's something that I look for. You've got to have an optimistic attitude, high level of positivity. You've got to have activity. You've really got to do the hard yards, and you've got to do lots of them over a long time. And then, of course, there's the acumen. So you can't be just out there, knocking on doors, let's say, and getting inquiry, but you haven't got the understanding or the mental skills and process to be able to sort of execute as a high-level salesperson if you don't understand or don't have something that is in a designed format for you to follow. Super important. Okay, so look, scripts are a big part of what we do. I know that writing scripts and using scripts is a little bit awkward, but I think what happens is the moment that you get good at using scripts, you figure out that it's really now ingrained in your speech patterns and how you communicate. And so you probably get to the point where now that I've learned how to use scripts, it has just become part of my my process now. So it's certainly important. And the other thing that we script, which is really important, is objection handling. We talk a lot about overcoming excuses and objections. An objection, when you're in sales, it's a boxing match. So, there is room for pushback. And so you've got to be able to overcome the excuses and the objections, because you're just going to run out of people to talk to, because everyone's going to have an objection. So you can't let that intimidate you either. So we've got sales management systems, which talks everything we did: leads generated, conversion rates, new customers, revenues, commission percentages, goals, variance, rolling variance, things like that. Now, the cash gap plan, this is something we talked about, whereby you really want to make sure that you have a plan to quickly collect your outstanding receivables, get your customers to pay faster, and negotiate better terms with your vendors. That's one, so that your bank account always has plenty of cash in it. That's super important. Dell Computers was a good example of what to do right. They would get you to order a computer. You would pay for said computer. They would then run out, order parts. Meanwhile, they can actually pay for those. They don't have to wait. They've got the money in advance. So they actually run a negative cash gap plan, Dell Computers. And it's very similar to Amazon, but you're not ordering directly from the manufacturer with Amazon, of course. But yeah, they will have the computer being built for you in the specs that you want, and they've already got your money. So they're working a negative cash gap. A lot of what happens is, like, you'll know this, you'll go down to the hardware and you'll buy, a bunch of lumber and stuff, and then you've got to pay for that 30 days later. But if you don't get payment from clients for 60 days, when you pay for the material and when you get paid, that's your cash gap. And so you're either going to have to cover that with credit cards or, some sort of line of credit, or some sort of overdraft. And so that becomes a problem because we've got to look at your system and go, is that the best way to run your business? No, it's not. We've got to get 30-day commercial terms, credit terms with our suppliers, and we've got to make sure that, our clients are paying us upon receipt or upon the issuance of that invoice. And we've got to make sure that we look at our cost spikes within our construction program or schedule and make sure that we are billing at the right time. A lot of my guys bill when materials land on site. A lot of guys bill when cabinets roll up on site. So it's at the beginning of the demolition stage. And that way they're creating a very positive or a very, they're eliminating the cash gap that is in their business. So, a couple of pointers there. Shorter terms with customers, like we should be getting paid very promptly, maximum 7 days. So faster collection system. Sometimes if you've got accounts receivable staff that are working on, collecting those monies, there might be bonuses you'll pay there. You maybe even think about outsourcing your accounts receivable to make sure that happens on a regular basis. If you're a one-man band and you haven't got an office nanny, outsourcing your accounts receivable is an option. Obviously, the longer the terms with the vendors, the better. If you've got 30-day commercial accounts with vendors, you order on the first of the month, you'll get a bill at the end of the month. We'll due 30 days after that. So you effectively got 60 days. We used to do this a lot with concrete, timber, lumber, depending on where you're from, trusses. A lot of the big ticket, drywall was another big one. Appliances were another big one. We'd always make sure if we got to, like now, if we're at the 29th of the month, we don't go putting in, orders for $50,000. We're like, just give that thing 48 hours and we'll drop that over the line, on the first of the month. And then, of course, cut inventory. Stop storing shit. We do this all the time. We got boxes and boxes of adhesives and boxes of screws that we're never going to get through in 2 lifetimes. We need to just, garage sale that stuff and just start putting cash back in your pocket for that. So they're the 21 silver bullets. I've just done that over 3 weeks. So we started out talking about time. We talked about team last week. Today I've talked about money. I will run through this PowerPoint with you in a lot more detail in our 60-minute complimentary coaching session, not to be confused with our 30-minute strategy session, where I look at your business, what information, we have a chat, talk to me about some of those challenges, and I lay out what we can do as quickly as I can, and then we move into a complimentary coaching session. But what I've just run down over the last 3 weeks, so if you haven't seen the one from 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, you need to go back and look at that one. And that'll give you a bit of an introduction to what I'm going to bang on about in 1 or 2 of those meetings. And it really will give you, a great insight. So, look, I just want to finish off this almost a 3-part series, if you like, is what, or how I would explain business coaching. We don't do it for an hourly rate. I do not work for an hourly rate. If you're familiar with Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant, we want to move from the employed, self-employed left-hand side of the quadrant across to the right-hand side of the quadrant where we've got business owners and investors. That's where we want to get you positioned so you're not trading hours for money. I don't do that. And so, what business coaching is all about is it's awareness, it's education, and it's accountability. And accountability is the big one. But it really does promote growth in your learning and you as a leader. You've got someone that's going to call your bullshit out. You've got someone that actually, loves enough to really call you out when things that we notice that need adjustment. So there's a high level of honesty. There's really some, a lot of constructive friction, I think, there, because we're all about trying to get to an end result. But yeah, it's really, really value for dollars is what you want. So what you want from me is you want to get the most benefits, features, or quality for the investment that you're making. It's not solely about finding the cheapest business coach, although, there might be guys that are more expensive or less expensive. I don't know, actually. It's about finding a balance between, the investment and the benefit, and the satisfaction that's derived from that service. So, pretty close to being done. I just want to let you know too, and I might have mentioned this before, I'm being mentored by a business coach that's been in the game over 20 years. And I'm also being mentored by a guy out of California who is actually a Navy SEAL. And so it's pretty exciting to be able to, talk to those guys on probably an every other day basis, almost at least 3 or 4 times a week. And we meet on Zoom calls a lot. And I'm really, hell-bent on making things happen. So, look, after all said and done, my commitment to you is this. To deliver business coaching services where you experience the best value for dollars, including the most benefits, features, and quality for your investment. EliteBusinessAdvisory.com. Get across there. Book a 30-minute meeting with me if you're interested so we can have a quick chat about you and your business. If you've got any questions or queries, you can email me, max@elitebusinessadvisory.com. If you've got anything else you want to quickly chat about, not about coaching, shoot me an email, max@businessforbuilders.ca. Like and subscribe, hit the bell, all that sort of good stuff. Get across to Facebook, to the Business for Builders VIP private group. If you're a good sort, I'll let you in. And there's some benefit there for you in the area of, a bit of collaboration, camaraderie, and some community there in the building game, which is super important. Go build a kick-ass business if you can by yourself. Failing that, get across and chat to me about, how we might be able to help you from a business coaching standpoint. And we really look forward to, seeing you succeed at the highest level. Go build a kick-ass, high-performance, highly profitable business. And I will see you on the next episode. Cheers.